Welcome to day one of a 5-day workshop on how to build organization culture. And today, I am going to talk about how to build the culture of acknowledgement and respect. And let me start by taking an example here. So my mom has this habit of asking us how's the food made, and she asks us at every meal, without fail. Every meal she would ask this question. So when she asks, she would keep standing beside us and she would ask, how is the food made? Is it spicy? Is it sweet? Is it as per standards? And so on and so forth. And I somehow try to avoid that question because I know the moment I say that it needs improvisation, she would spend more time cooking for us, which I don't want. So that's my personal choice. But obviously, when there's this need to improvise, I tell her swiftly. So what she was looking for is a visual sign of acknowledgement. She was also looking for me to face her and say, this is how the food is made. This is how the question should be answered. That's what she's looking for. If I keep looking at my plate and answer, she may not understand whether have I paid attention to the question or it was just a tick in the box activity for me to just answer. So visual sign of acknowledgement is also important. And bear in mind, you'll have to acknowledge or show the signs of acknowledgement at the time when the event is happening or before the content loses its importance. So going back to the same example which I just quoted, if my mom has asked this question for breakfast and I go back to her in the evening and say, you know what, you asked me how was the food made or how was the breakfast made, now I'm ready to tell you. I don't think that's the right point of acknowledgement. It should happen at the same time when the event is happening. That's more important. Now going back to respect, in an organization there are a lot of people you work with, and because there are people, there could be different opinions, and different people have different individuality standards also. So what is more important here is that you will have to respect everybody's privacy, individuality, and difference in opinion. I have seen situations where there are differences in opinion and the other person would get offended and say, you know what, I don't agree to your situations and I don't agree to your thoughts and suggestions. If you don't agree, you don't have to be so so strong in commenting against that person. Imagine that this person has his own thought process, and this own thought process is not because the person started working with you, maybe because he has worked earlier, or this person has not worked earlier, this person is a fresher, could be anything. So that's where individuality comes into play. That's where the difference in opinion comes into play. Now imagine yourself into that person's shoes and realize how would you feel when you confront that person and say, you know what, I don't agree to your arguments. If you don't agree and you know that with your disagreement, you're not going to reach anywhere as a conclusion, no matter how hard you disagree. So what is the point of showing that disagreement so strongly? If you disagree, please, by all means say that you disagree. But there's a way of saying it. Now going back to the idea of using the right choice of words and right body language, right gestures, right eye contact is most important when you're showing respect. A very short example, a very, very small example. How often do you open a door for somebody who is entering in your, say, work area? So if you are at the door and there's this lady who's crossing, you would open the door. If there's a man who's crossing, you would open the door, right? How often do you do that? And do you do that for every gender? That's another question here. We sometimes become gender biased, and that's where respect takes a backseat. Do not ever do that. If you want to build a culture of respect in the organization, live by it. Respect every gender in every situation. Don't be biased. Last but not the least, and I think this is the most important part of this video. Acknowledgement, respect, or whatever culture you want to build in the organization, it can only be built if your leaders are in the strong belief of that culture. So building a culture is a top to bottom approach. If the belief system of leaders for a particular culture is not in sync across the organization, you will not be able to build that culture. So it's really important for you to choose what culture you want to drive. Whether it could be a culture of removing different levels of approvals for a particular process, or it could be a culture of, say, celebrating everybody's birthday. But when you choose it, all of your top management or your leaders should be in sync, should be in understanding of this new culture, should believe in it. And the moment they believe in it, it will be easy for you to bring it down to all the levels of your hierarchy. These are a few tips that I thought I should share with you in the first day. If you find these suitable and if you have suggestions, please feel free to drop your suggestions or your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for your time for watching the video. Thank you.